Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens with footage of someone watching in a hoodie, Mama Gardner talk about her son, and what closes with footage of Mama Gardner, mother of Eric Gardner, talking about her son? If you guessed Quad Season 2, Episode 4, I Am Not Your Negro, or if you read it in the caption, you're correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video or joining live and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Did I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening? Because we don't live together, so we got to establish that we just greeting each other. I'm really kind of feeling a little bit of anxiety because, okay, well, one thing, because I can't see episode 5 on my on demand. It goes from 4 to 6, so I'm like, how am I gonna get to episode 5? So I might just have to skip to 6 and we gonna keep it moving if that's the case. Once I get a chance to watch it, and then also we were just talking on Notes on the News Feed. I got a new edition of Notes on the News Feed up. That's like my basically everyday news, talk about the news, not news, news, not news, sorry, not sorry show. But I got a new edition up, and we were just talking over there about like BET is not a black-owned station, but I can say that I have really been impressed by the work that they've done this year on the Quad. I feel like this season is better than last season. I love the title, I'm Not Your Negro. I love the inclusion of the footage of Eric Gardner and Eric Gardner's mother. I love the subject matter that was covered and the ways in which it was covered. I think they're doing a really good job of dealing with subtlety. I know this is old, but I think that, it's not like there's so many things that are not black and white, and, sort of teasing out all of those things. Even though I'm behind, I'm still gonna do it because I'm a fan. I'm here for it this season. But, I got my good eye on BET because, they say we were laughing, they say Thursday night is the blackest night on TV because they have The Rundown, which I like, and they have Black Card Revoked, which I really like. I like The Rundown with Robin Thede a lot too. Man Cave, sometimes they be kind of rubbing me a little bit the wrong way, but I guess it's not for me, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But they like, my mother is like, well, every night should be the blackest night on TV on BET, and it's like, but it's not. But anyway, they got some stuff coming that looks interesting. In Contempt looks interesting, or maybe they have A stuff coming. But, I'm here for it. Okay, so we open with a person in a black room with a black hoodie watching a television video of a woman talking about Eric. And it was interesting because the TV was like not a flat screen TV. It was like an old school TV. Talking about Eric, and I was like, Eric Gardner? It was Eric Gardner, whose activist daughter Erica made her transition December 30th, 2017. Rest in power, Sister Erica, having lost her father to state police violence July 17th, 2014. So we see President Eva, she's driving. We get a close-up of her eye, and then we zoom out and we see she's in the emergency room. So she's driving, but she's remembering or reflecting on being in the emergency room at the end of the last episode. Remember, I thought she was having a heart attack, but she was actually so she's being examined, and the person is like, you're not experiencing cardiac arrest, the EMS person is saying, or the doctor or nurse or whatever. Do you have any history of anxiety attacks? And she nods, and then the paramedic or doctor asks, so anyway, yeah, okay. So then we hear sirens we hear, and then we see President Eva is being pulled over by the popo. It's 2 cops. There's one main one that she interacts with. Good morning. She says, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm late for a meeting. Can you tell me why you put me over, please? She's much sweeter than I was when she said it. And the popo is like, are you lost, ma'am? This car definitely does not belong in this neighborhood. Are you lost? So are you lost? And she's like, President Eva is like, I work a few blocks away from here, and my home is actually in this neighborhood. And Popo is like, well, not on this block. It ain't nothing but crack dens on this block, and the next. Okay, so President Eva is like, I'm not sure what you were asking me, and I still don't know why you put me over, But as I mentioned, I have to get to work. And the popo is like, well, you were driving erratically, ma'am. Are you under the influence of anything? And she's like, no, absolutely not. He's like, step out of the car, ma'am. And President Eva is like, sir, I am the president of Georgia A&M University, and I have to be. And Popo is like, I gave you a lawful order. I suggested you follow it. And President Eva is like, I am not going to do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to call your boss, and I'm going to tell him how you were out here harassing a law-abiding citizen, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, he done opened the door, took off her seatbelt. He pulling her out the car. She punches him. He goes down. His partner pulls a gun. She raises her hand. A spectator is like, don't shoot. Her hands are up. Don't shoot her. And then the cop who she punches, like, congratulations, sunshine, as he's getting up. You just assaulted an officer. And then he's cuffing her and putting her into the cop car. Meanwhile, back at GAMU, we got Roland Martin. You know, he works for the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and they had this whole thing they do with black colleges. I'm assuming they still do it. I don't know if this is like a fictionalized account of what they really do or not, but I have heard 20 years ago them on the campus, or somebody from the Tom Joyner Show on the campus of HBCUs. It could have been Roland Martin, because I didn't know him at that time. But anyway, so, you know, we're going to interview the first female president of GAMU. We know GAMU is a fictitious university, but, you know, and they doing it the way they really do it, you know, and Dr. Eva Fletcher. But right now we have the world-renowned and director of the mighty Marching Mountain Cats, Dr. Cecil Diamond. And, you know, that loss was terrible. And Cecil Diamond is like, but, you know, I'm coming back strong. And, you know, we need a challenge every once in a while. And, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then Roland is like, he going to go out into the, you know, talk to some of the students. And Ebony is there. And he's asking her, you know, what's your major and what do you do? And Cedric is like, oh, tell him about the music. He like, well, you come on over here and talk to you too. And then they're talking about Ebony's music. And Cedric is, you know, Roland Martin is like, well, are you a music major too? And he's like, no, I'll probably major in math. You know, I'm just here because my mama made me come. And then Ebony is like, oh, you gonna major in math? Something. And then they arguing, and Roland's like, I ain't got time for this. And then we see Sydney, and she's walking on campus, and her stalker, Jason, is like, Sydney Fletcher. And then he runs up on her, and she's like, oh, hi, Jason. And Jay is like, you know, I must have called your name 1,000 times. And Sid is like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You know, I'm preparing for a presentation or whatever. I'm not thirsty. And then Jason is like, oh, well, I just want to say hi. You know, maybe we could grab some coffee or something. Would that be okay? You know, and they agree to meet for coffee at the coffee stand in about an hour. And then we see Cedric and Brownwin, and they're studying. And his mom calls, and Brownwin is listening to his music. Then Brownwin is upset because I guess, you know, she's like, I didn't know that you were you were still writing songs about your ex-girlfriend, and don't say you wrote it a long time ago, because I just checked and you wrote it 2 days ago. And then, you know, they kind of go back and forth, and then he's like, I lost somebody, not you, so you need to stop tripping. And Brownwin is like, well, you about to lose somebody else. And then Cedric is like, okay, well, leave, go, bye, lose yourself, get lost. And then Brownwin is like, I know you lost someone, but you don't have to stomp on my feelings. Meanwhile, back at the police station, they are drawing blood from Dr. Eva without her consent. Like, she's like, no, I didn't give you permission to draw my blood, because they're like, did you give her a field sobriety test? She refused the sobriety test, but we got a warrant right here from the judge, so we about to draw the blood. And she's like, no. You know, she fighting, they dragging her, 3, 4, 5 people dragging her. They lay her on a table, they strap her down. She's like, no, somebody help me, no. They put their hand on her neck, and then they draw blood. Okay, so then we have Jason and Sydney chatting on campus over coffee. It's an hour later. He's flirting. You know, he mentions, hey, you know, the elephant is in the room. Everybody knows that you got raped. You know, I'm obviously interested in you, but I don't really know what's appropriate. You know, can I ask you out, or does that make me like a butthole, an insensitive butthole? You know, I feel like, and she's like, you know, yeah, you could ask me out. And he's like, well, I feel like you could use a friend, you know, more than a date. And she's like, yeah. And, you know, the stalker, you know, he's stalking. And then Roland, we see him, and he's like, you know, back still on the air, you know, talking. He's like, well, we were supposed to have met with, you know, Dr. Eva Fletcher, you know, this morning, and she didn't show up. And we just found out that she's been arrested and, you know, driving while black and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, so the video footage of her being arrested is going viral. And then the guy, Sydney had gone on a date with this guy. I can't remember his name. He's like a dark-skinned guy, and he really likes her, the way it seems. And they went on a date, and then they were trying to make out. She was trying to make out, and then she started freaking out. And he's like, "You okay?" And she's like, "I'm fine. Just take me home." And he's like, you know, he's trying to be sensitive, but she felt embarrassed because she was freaking out. So but he still likes her, but she don't really want to be bothered with him because it reminds her that she freaked out. That's what I think. And he brings her the phone, and he sees her talking to the stalker, and he's like, "Can I talk to you alone?" And she's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "You need to see this." And he shows her, you know, the footage of her mother being arrested. She says to Jason, you know, not the dark skinned guy who likes her. She says to the stalker guy, "Oh, can you take me to the police station?" And the dark skinned guy is like, "Oh." And then at the police station, we see Eva. She still hasn't gotten her one call. She's asking for the one call. A black woman is like, "You didn't get your call?" Well, you know, and then the arresting cop is like, "I'll handle it." And then he comes up to her and he's like, "I'm the president here, and you'll get your call when I say so." And then we see Diamond, Director Diamond, he in band practice, and he seems to be auditioning saxophonist or whatever. And he is so mean to them children. And then he says to one of the students, "Karen, have you lost your doggone mind looking at your phone in band rehearsal?" And then she's like, "It's Dr. Fletcher. She's been arrested." Bum, bum, bum. And then we see Sydney. She's at the police station. And she's like, "Is my mother here? Is my mother here?" And they're like, "Your mother is fine." And she's like, "I need to see my mother. I need to see my mother." You know, and then she's like kind of, "Ah." And then out comes one of the district attorneys who she knows, her mother knows. A black woman is her mom's friend who has, you know, and she's got a black man with her. And she's like, you know, "Hey, you know, Sydney, you know, I'm checking things out now. This is going to be your mom's attorney, you know, and you know, blah, blah, blah. You can go home." And she's like, "I am not going home until I see my mom, until I get my mom," or whatever. And then Sydney goes back out into the parking lot and she tells Jason, you know, "You can go home because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here until, you know, until." And then we see President Eva brought into a room with her DA friend and her new lawyer, Kevin Carter. And he says, you know, "You're on the news and social media, so that's good." You know, and Eva's like, "Did you get the dash cam?" You know, and he's like, you know, "Oh, it's hard. You know how they don't want to give up the stuff. And, you know, I want to see, you know, so people can see what happened when he arrested me. 2 officers who arrested me, and he mentally and emotionally, they assaulted me. And they basically trying to tell her to chill." And President Eva's like, "They threw me up against the car and they pointed a gun at me and I will not chill. No chill. I got no chill for this." She's upset. Then we see Ebony and Cedric, and they're watching the President Fletcher footage. You know, it's viral. And Ebony is like, "Are you okay? You good?" And Cedric is like, "I'm good." And then he's like, "Nah, you know, this is crazy. You know, this merger stuff and now this police brutality stuff. I mean, they killing us, you know, and they roughing up the president of a university with cameras, and they don't care that cameras are watching. You know, what kind of chance do we have as just regular students out here in this world?" And President Eva was like, you know, and he's like, you know, "President Eva was by my side when I got locked up and she wouldn't leave." And then Ebony is like, you know, "She came to the hospital when I was sick too, when I was hurt too. My dad said it was because she was trying to not get sued, but, you know, maybe not." And then Cedric is like, you know, "I'm going to the police station." And Ebony is like, you know, "I'm going to go too." And then they like have a moment. They're like looking in each other's eyes or, you know, whatever. And then, you know, and then Ebony's like, "Oh, this is weird. You know, you have a girlfriend and, you know, I don't get down like that." And then they're looking in each other's eyes and they kiss, and then they have sex. Ebony and Cedric have sex. Then we see Eva in a cell, like a holding cell with a bunch of other women. And this woman is like, you know, "Take off your shoes. Give me your shoes." And Eva's like, you know, I'm not going to give you my shoes. You know, it's been a rough day and I am not going to give you my shoes." And the woman is like, you know, you bougie person or whatever, you better give me them shoes. I'm gonna take them shoes. And they going back and forth. And Eva's like, look, it's we two black women, we arguing. What purpose is this serving? What is this about? And the woman is like, you ain't like me. I'm not like you. Your attorney gonna come get you in a minute, and I'm still gonna be in here. And Eva's like, well, what you gonna do with my shoes? And the woman is like, I'ma sell them. And Eva's like, look, when my attorney come and get me, I'll give you the shoes. You know, so they kind of work it out. But Eva's like, hey, Bondi Gaming, hey, fabulous. But Eva is kind of like, you know, she like, you gonna have to beat me down to take these shoes, basically, like, you know, because I'm in a fighting mood and you ain't got no gun, so you're gonna have to beat me to get these shoes. Okay, so then we see Cedric coming into the room, and Bryce, his roommate, has let Brownwyn into the room. And she's like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm sorry, I was tripping, you know, I'm sorry, I was overreacting, you know. And he's like, okay, apology accepted. And she's like, you know, we have a good thing, you know, Brownwyn is saying, and, you know, I don't want to mess it up now. And then she kisses him. You know, I don't want to lose you. I know you and Chantel, your girlfriend, were together, you know, since the 8th grade. You know, I'm sorry. So she kisses him, and I don't know if she can taste, I don't know. But when she kisses him, she realizes, wait a second. Then she looking at his clothes. She like, you got on the same clothes from yesterday. You know, where you been? And he like, oh, you just apologized and now you sweating me? And she's like, tell me where you were. You're not going to tell me? Okay, so I guess we really are done. So then they break up. Then we see a group about to go to the police station, and Ebony goes to get her phone. And Director Diamond rolls up, you know, on her, trying to talk to her. Now, earlier in the day when Director Diamond was being interviewed, Ebony was in the audience, because remember, Roland went right to Ebony, and Ebony was looking at Director Diamond, and Director Diamond was looking at her, and she was like, we knew it wasn't going to be a good thing. But Director Diamond is like, so, you know, you want to get back in the band? And she like, no, sir, I do not want to get into the band. I was almost killed effing around with you and your band. You understand that, right? And you have the nerve to come up to me and ask me if I want to get in your band? No, sir, no. You know, I still have headaches. You know, you think too much. And, you know, he's like, oh, I thought, she's like, you think too much and you know too little. So that's, you know, getting that behind. So then we're at the police station, and President Eva is being released, and Sydney is there, and the arresting officer is staring at her across the room. And then Sydney is like, you know, Cedric comes in and he hugs her. He like, you all right? And, you know, she's like, yeah, you know, I'm fine. I'm going out the back door. I just want to avoid the crowds. And Cedric is like, nah, that's what they expecting you to do. Go out the back door and hide. You know, you got to go out the front, you know. And her lawyer is like, yeah, you should go out the front, you know. I don't know what that says, but anyway, they going out the front door. And then a reporter, when she gets outside, is like, you know, Dr. Fletcher, how does it feel to assault the people who are assigned to protect you? And then she's in a room, you know, we keep going. It's later on. She's in a room with Sydney and Sydney's roommate, Maddie, Cedric, her lawyer, and Eva. They're all in a room together. And Dr. Fletcher is like, you know, these people are painting their own narrative, and I can't even defend myself. And, you know, somebody is like, oh, it's the deputy DA on the phone. That's her friend. And her friend is like, hey, Eva, you know, this is probably going to end up on my desk. So, you know, I can't do nothing else for you. But Kevin, the lawyer I got for you, who with you now, he gonna take good care of you, and you might want to turn to channel 3. So she turns to channel 3, and the arresting officer has been placed on administrative leave. And you know, one woman, student, professor, and GAMU think, oh, and so then they're interviewing different people, and one woman is like, you know, the professors at GAMU think they better than the other people. I don't care that she got arrested. Basically, that's her position. And one man is like, you know, that cop did not even care that they were taping, because you know, who's in the White House? That's what he said. He don't care. He'll beat us all down. He don't, you know. And then Eva is like, you know, I want that dash cam camera right now. You know, I am not their Negro. And, you know, we see Eva take a pill and a drink. So we're like, is the pill like prescription drugs? Or is it like an aspirin? Is the drink like Coca-Cola? Or is it like Henny? I mean, what's going on, Miss Eva? We don't know. And then we see Maddie, and she's caught on campus by the dark guy who likes Sydney. I can't remember his name, but, and, you know, he's like, you know, what's up with Sydney? Who is this guy she's dealing with? I don't like it. It's, you know, I'm concerned about her. And Maddie is like, you know, I don't want to talk to you about this. Me and Maddie are just now getting cool again, and I'm not trying to mess it up. And, you know, back off. His name is Jason. Oh no, his name isn't Jason. And he's like, the dark skinned guy is like, well, are they smashing? And she's not ready, because he already know he had an encounter with her. He knows she's still traumatized, and he's concerned. And Maddie is like, you know, she don't really want to talk about it. And then we see Ebony's dad knocking on her door, and he's coming to check on her on the down low. His wife don't know he's there, but she had already said he calling her every day. He's concerned about her. And her mom is, you know, they're worried. And because of what happened with President Eva. And then he says when he called her daddy, when he called her on the phone, she sounded a certain way. And she's like, you know, yeah, you know, it's a lot. Plus Director Diamond, you know, approached me. And her daddy is like, what? And she's like, I know, what? And then the next thing we see is Ebony's daddy, Mr. Weaver, at Director Diamond's office. And Mr. Director Diamond is like, oh, you know, Mr. Weaver. And he's like, you know, confronting him like, you know, my daughter almost died. Director Diamond is like, you know, I made a mistake and I feel bad about it and I'm trying to make things right, you know, but I should have talked to you first. And the daddy of Ebony is like, stay away from my daughter, Diamond. Stay away from my doggone daughter. That's all I got to say, you know. So then we see Sydney with Jason, and he's like, you know, we can't choose our parents, but we can choose what traits we take from them. Jason is the stalker, her mother's ex-lover. And then he's massaging her shoulders, and they're about to kiss, and she's like, oh, that feels good. And then Maddie comes in, and she's like, Miles. Now Miles is the dark-skinned guy. I've been calling the dark-skinned guy who likes Sydney. And Sydney is like, oh, you interrupted when the guy Jason leaves, the stalker Jason leaves. And Maddie is like, you know, Miles was concerned about you. And Sydney is like, why are you talking? You know, Maddie is like, I see why Miles is so concerned. And you know, Sydney is like, why are you all up in my business? You know, stay out of my business and I'll stay out of yours. So they still ain't really cool. Then we see Cedric watching for Dr. Fletcher leaving a building. And Cedric is like, you know, hey, I'm proud of you. That's the kid from Chicago who got hemmed up with the cops last year. You know, I'm surprised to see you fight. You know, I didn't know you had it in you. And she like, well, you know, it's a time to fight and it's a time not to fight. But she not really, she's still traumatized. And he's like, you know, I want to know when the cops are going to get paid back for what they did to me. And she's like, hold on, young man. You know, you got to pick your battles. You pay them back by studying and doing well in school. Don't be out here trying to, you know, do nothing crazy. Promise me, you know, you're going to channel this rage into your music. Your mom would never forgive me, and I'll never forgive myself if something happens to you. And then we see Dr. Eva talking to Roland, you know, having the interview about black folks and the history of police and black folks and blah, 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 blah. And Cedric is watching the interview of the mom of Eric Gardner. And we hear Dr. Eva, she's like, you know, I'm a 5'2", 120-pound woman in a Jag. And if I'm a threat to the police, you know, what chance does anyone else have? And then we see the footage of the interview of Mama Garner talking about her son. And, you know, so that's it. That was the end of the episode. Bump, 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 bump. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, sharing, watching. I'm really, really enjoying The Quad this season. And I just feel like everybody should be watching it and talking about it. I think people are probably sleeping on it. If you're watching this, you're not sleeping on it. But you know what I mean? I'm really enjoying this season. Today is the best day ever, and you are the greatest. So like, share, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace.